Although artists and graphic designers work within a two-dimensional space, they use techniques to convey various feelings, such as space, enclosure, movement, stillness, joy, or sadness. At the same time, on the canvas, where a massive event with numerous heroes takes place, they easily determine the central character. How do they manage to do it? All works of art and design products, which are essentially compositions, engage with the viewer in a certain way. When crafting a composition, the artist should take into account the viewer and think about how his gaze will move across the artwork. Where will he look first? And where will his attention be drawn next? Let's explore the tools and techniques at our disposal for crafting compositions, starting with something that has a significant impact on how we perceive them: their type. There are 6 distinct types of compositions, which include closed, open, symmetrical, asymmetrical, static, and dynamic composition. Let's explore each of these composition types, beginning with the closed composition. In a closed composition, the central image is typically the focal point that captures the viewer's attention. This image is surrounded by bounding elements that help to achieve this effect. For instance, in this image, the house is positioned between the trees, immediately drawing our gaze towards it. Additionally, a composition can be closed from multiple sides, but at least 2 bounding elements are required to accomplish this. This straightforward technique can be incredibly effective in guiding the viewer's eye. Salvador Dali, for instance, demonstrated masterful use of a closed composition in his creation of the iconic optical illusion, a room shaped like the face of actress Mae West. A closed composition often involves confining all elements within specific boundaries, such as by using margins around design elements, as seen on a book page. In the first example, removing the trees reveals an unrestricted open space. This creates an open composition. While a closed composition attracts the eye towards its center, an open composition, on the other hand, prompts the eye to wander in different directions, enticing the imagination to complete the picture and venture beyond the frame. This can be seen in Van Gogh's painting The Starry Night, for instance. Let's now move on to studying symmetrical and asymmetrical compositions. The term symmetry originates from ancient Greek, where it meant proportionality in translation. This word is often attributed to an architect named Pythagoras of Rhegium. In classical antiquity, symmetry was considered as a representation of beauty and elegance. It was believed that the universe was beautiful because of its proportionality. So natural beauty often appeared symmetrical. You can see it in leaves, in snowflakes, in the butterfly wings, in human nature itself. Symmetry inherently entails balance and harmony. The main principle of creating a symmetrical composition is centered around the axis of symmetry, as it serves as a fundamental structure for the work. Symmetry greatly influenced the architecture of the ancient world. You can see it in Egyptian pyramids, the ancient Greek Parthenon, Roman Colosseum, the Indian Taj Mahal. Not only ancient architects appreciated the symmetry, it also has a place in modern-day art. Director Wes Anderson is one of the fervent supporters of symmetrical composition. Stanley Kubrick also liked to use it in his works. Sometimes, the format itself dictates the use of symmetry. For instance, in a magazine or book spread, the symmetry axis is merely a technical aspect. Furthermore, the axis of symmetry is not limited to a vertical orientation. It can also be horizontal or diagonal. Using a symmetrical composition can be a convenient and uncomplicated approach to maintain visual equilibrium. However, it is not a foolproof solution for achieving harmony in a composition. There are many objects in the world around us that are aesthetically pleasing and balanced, despite not being symmetrical. Mountains, rivers, trees. Upon close observation, human faces, despite appearing symmetrical, are not entirely so. Attempting to make them completely symmetrical can result in a somewhat unnatural appearance. Don't you agree? An asymmetrical composition lacks lines of symmetry, making it more challenging to achieve optical balance. Achieving balance in such a composition requires great creativity and, at times, intuitive thinking. An asymmetrical composition, on the other hand, can give a work a distinctive personality, vitality, and uniqueness. In fact, asymmetry was one of the defining creative elements in the works of Zaha Hadid, an outstanding contemporary designer. Let's take a look at static and dynamic compositions. The term statics has its roots in the Greek word statos, which means still. This is the precise meaning of the word static. On the other hand, dynamics comes from another Greek word, dynamis, which translates to force or power. The term dynamic is used to describe an element that appears to move or shift, while a static composition creates a sense of stillness. On the other hand, a dynamic composition conveys a sense of movement. However, what exactly creates this impression? The peculiarities of our perception. Let's take a look at the photos on the left and right. In the left photo, people are sitting quietly, and in the right photo, they are passionately kissing. Although in reality, neither of these photos show actual movement, our perception still sees movement and stillness in them. But what about more abstract forms? How can we show static and dynamic in those cases? Let's explore that. For instance, consider drawing a horizontal line and placing a black square on it. This image appears static to the viewer. However, if we rotate the square and the line slightly clockwise, a sense of movement arises as if a corner has emerged, and the square no longer seems static. The inclination of the line itself creates a kind of prerequisite for movement. You can enhance by replacing the square with a circle. That's why diagonal lines often give a composition a sense of dynamism, and the greater their angle, the stronger this impression. Another way to intensify the perception of movement and give it a specific significance is to position an element in a particular area of the composition. For instance, when we position a circle on the left side, it appears to be at the starting point of a journey, while when we position it on the right side, it seems to be at the destination. Take, for instance, David Hockney's artwork called Portrait of an Artist, which depicts two figures. On the right, Peter Schlesinger, the artist, stands still in a pink jacket, while a swimmer is shown dynamically swimming breaststroke underwater. The stationary objects in the artwork even amplify the sense of movement. This is evident in the majestic South French landscape in the upper part, and the trembling waves of the pool in the lower part. The contrast creates a stronger feeling of movement. In general, a design composition can often integrate various characteristics of different types. In the Portrait of an Artist, the composition is simultaneously open, asymmetrical, and dynamic. It is pretty typical for graphic and web design to have not one but several compositions within the same format at the same time. For example, we can use Hockney's painting as a background image and, above it, let's say, place a login window to the user's account. Thus, the composition of the background image will be open and dynamic and create a sense of space and dynamics. Meanwhile, the login window composition will be closed and static, which can help focus the user's attention on the necessary information. Composition types refer to several general approaches and principles of organizing a design. These approaches provide us with various techniques to work with. In the upcoming lecture, we will delve deeper into the subject by exploring methods to harmonize a composition.